Shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to give all praises and glory and honor to Yahweh Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Wakakadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone, preaching this word truthfully and sincerely. And shalom to the Akim, scattered through the four corners of the globe, preaching the word truthfully and sincerely. And shalom to Akim, that be like unto the speckled bird, preaching the word truthfully and sincerely. And I say shalom to you, Akim, out there. And this is a sit-down lesson through the spirit, power, grace, and mercy of Yahweh Yahushua for in the news on October the 12th, 2022, on this Wednesday night at 6:54 p.m. Central Standard Time.
Where Kitty come from?
I think she probably normally she be hiding through the under the couch and stuff.
Nah, she came through your room.
Came from my room.
Yeah.
That was it. I ain't seen her all day today.
Well, she was parked over there on your dresser. So I just saw came out of your room.
Man, I was shocked. Yeah, because I ain't see her none all today. I mean, as far as like in this room, but I seen her in the living room and stuff like that. Salakia. I was talking to my nephew. Talk to my brother about home cat and stuff. But yeah, this is a news article for In the News. This is from a news article called AFP, and it was published about 4 hours ago in MSN.com. And the highlight of this news article, and it reads, this is one article, then I'm bringing out a second article as well too. It's regarding North Korea, I believe, was monitoring their cruise missiles. While they were saying that can be used for war ready from North Korea. But in the meantime, I'll bring out this news article. And the highlight of this news article, when it reads, 13 killed in 2 days of Syria rebel clash. A monitor. She was rebel and she was going like, what the hell? Can you hear that sound effect too? Keep trying to go outside. What the dang, how she do her neck like that? Like, if we try to do our necks like that, we gonna get fucked up. See, roll the shoe. What the hell? Keep it roll like that.
Man, she can't use it. She's trying to use it.
Yeah. What the? That's wrong. Salakia for that 4 minute, about a 4 minute, 3 minute pause. Salakia for that. But back to what I was saying, the highlight of this news article, and it reads 13 killed in 2 days in Syria, rebel clashes monitored. It says 13 people, mostly fighters, have been killed in 2 days of an ongoing clashes between rival factions competing for power in northwest Syria. And it says a war monitoring said Wednesday. Continue reading on with the article. And this is an actual photo where it took place at. It says some smoke clouds amending clashes between the Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, which is HTS jihad groups, with the Turkey-backed Syrian National Army (SNA) near the village of Jindra in Syria. Rebel held northern Aleppo province. The fighting between two pro-Kurdish Syrian rebel groups began in the town of Al-Bat in northern Aleppo of Syria province before spreading to other areas, drawing in other factions. The British-based Syrian Observation for Human Rights said Hayat Tahrir al-Sham HTS, a jihad group headed by the ex-members of the Syrian former Al-Qaeda franchise, has also weighed in, adding in a statement that HTS mostly controls Syrian main rebel-held northwestern region of Idlib, but other rebel groups are also active in the various degrees of backing from Turkey. It says dozens of factions are competing for influence of northern Syria, leading to the current chaos. Observation heading Rami Abdul Rahman told the AFP. Even if clashes begin with a dispute between two groups or other factions took advantage of the opportunity to fight their opportunity, he added, Slovakia. The death toll includes 3 civilians. Hell no.
What they doing on there like?
Salaki for the folly. But continuing on, brother came in again, Salakia. It says the death toll includes 3 civilians. Observation says the AFP. Correspondents report that schools and markets enclosed of Al-Bat and dozens have fled Afrin countryside further west. HTS was able to control the towns of Jindres near the Afrin Wednesday and a number of other villages in the vicinity, the monitoring said. Syrian wars has killed nearly 500,000 people and forced half of the country's pre-war population from their homes. So yeah, that's that nations against nations, kingdom against kingdoms. And this is another news article right here regarding North Korea. And this was about 39 minutes ago from Associated Press, published by Kim Dong-hung 39 minutes ago from the Associated Press. And a highlight of this news article, and it reads, North Korea says Kim supervised cruise missile tests. Seoul of South Korea, Associated Press, that North Korean leader Kim Jong-un supervised tests of long-range cruise missiles, which he describes as a successful demonstration of his military expanding nuclear strike capability. Right, that goes into what that comes into mind. What I just read, Joel 3:10, let the weak say I'm strong, and readiness for actual war. Joel 3:9, wake up the mighty man, prepare war. Right, that type of spirit, and that reference to those scriptures, Joel 3:9 through verse 10. And it says, state media and said Thursday, Wednesday states extending a record number of weapons demonstrations this year by North Korea, which has penetrated its testing activity, threats of promptly using nuclear weapons against South Korea and the United States if it perceives its leadership and under a threat. Analyst says Kim is exploiting the distractions created by Russia's war on Ukraine, using it as a window accelerating arms development as he pursue a full-fledged nuclear arsenal that could visibly threaten regions, U.S. allies, and the American homeland. South Korean officials, and that goes into the rumors of wars, which is recorded in Matthews 24:6. But continuing on with the reading, I just want to add that reference to that. South Korean official says Kim may also conduct a nuclear test in the coming weeks or months, escalating a pressure campaign aimed at forcing the United States to accept the idea of North Korea has a nuclear power that can negotiate economic security concessions from a position of strength. And it says North Korea officials, Salakia. And it says South Korean official says Kim may also conduct a test in the coming weeks or months. Salakia, I read this already, but I'm reading it again. Internet was tweaking. It says escalating a pressure campaign aimed at forcing the United States to accept the idea of North Korea as a nuclear power that can negotiate economics and security concessions from a position of strength. Continuing on with the reading, North Korea's official Korean Central News Agency said that 2 missiles during Wednesday's test flew for 3 hours, drawing over and figuring eight-shaped patterns above its western seas, showed that they can hit targets of 2,000 kilometers, which is 1,240 miles away. The test demonstrating the accuracy and war-fighting efficiencies of the weapon system that has already been deployed at Army units operation. Tactical battlefield nuclear weapons, the agency says. It says Kim, after the test, praised the readiness of his nuclear combat force, which he said were fully prepared for actual war. Revelations 11:14, second war was past, behold, third war coming quickly. That's a reference scripture to that. It says, which he said were fully prepared for actual war to bring enemies under their control at a blow with various weapon systems that are mobile, precise, and powerful, according to the report. And he said that the test is another clear warning to the enemies and vowed to further expand the operational realm of his nuclear armed forces to resolutely deteriorate any cruise, military crisis, and war crisis at any time, and completely take the initiative in it. Wednesday's test was the first known weapon demonstration by North Korea after launching 12 ballistic missiles in a span of 2 weeks through October 9th of 2022, in what is described as a simulation nuclear attacks on South Korea and the U.S. targets. Those who, including a new intermediate range ballistic missiles that flew over Japan, while demonstrating a potential range to reach Guam and major U.S. military hubs in the Pacific, and a short-range missile fired from the unpacified platform inside Edinburgh Reserve. North Korea North Korea said those drills were meant as a warning to Seoul and Washington for staging Slocky, then connection tweaking. It says North Korea said those drills were meant as a warning to Seoul and Washington for staging dangerous novel exercise drills. Right, I believe South Korea, Japan, and the United States, they did about a couple of weeks ago. They did those Navy missile size, joint Navy exercise drills in that region over there. And then you had North Korea, planes was flying over there in that region. So these tensions are definitely stirring up. It says North Korea said those drills were meant as a warning to Seoul and Washington for staging dangerous joint naval exercises involving the nuclear power of the U.S. aircraft USS Wright, which they deployed it over there in recent weeks, which were meant to be the Allies' show strength in the face of growing North Korea threats. Concerning Kim's expanding nuclear arsenal has grown since his rubber stamp preliminary last month, passing a new law that authorized promptly of a nuclear weapons over a broad range of scenarios. Right, that goes into Kim Jong-un made that announcement that they is going to declare North Korea their country as a nuclear weapons country. It says, including a non-war situation where it may perceive its leader under a threat. South Korean military has since warned North Korea that it will self-destruct if it uses bombing by triggering an overwhelming response from the Allies. While Kim's intercontinental ballistic missiles, the American homeland has gathered much of the international attention. He has also expanded the arsenal of short-range missiles aimed at overwhelming missile defense in South Korea. The North describes some of those weapons are tactical, which experts say communications a threat, to arm them with small battlefield nukes, and proactive use them during conflicts. The blunt of the stronger conventional forces of South Korea and the United States. The station's about 28,500 troops in the South. It says North Korea has fired more than 40 ballistic and cruise missiles, more than 20 launch events this year, exploding the divide in the UN Security Council deepening over Russia's war on Ukraine. The council preliminary Moscow and Beijing has rejected the U.S. proposal to impose tighter sanctions Pyongyang over its intensifying test activities. Experts say North next nuclear test, which will be the 7th overall since 2006, which has been a while back. It is likely to be the first that the Security Council fails to meet the new sanctions. Right, even if they do more harsh economic sanctions on North Korea, Kim Jong-un is not going to give up his nuclear capability weapons. He's not going to militarize it in non-fashion way, as he stated that, But continuing on with the reading, it says nuclear negotiations between Washington and Pyongyang has stalled since early 2019 of the disagreements in exchange the release of crippling U.S.-led sanctions against North and the North denuclearization steps. So yeah, that was the rest of that article. So bring out the scriptures. So, been seeing the definitely increase of the nations rising up against one another. That's what we're seeing. Slovakia, if that woman's war is wrong. Matter of fact, I'll just bring out Mark 13:8. This is the book of Mark, chapter 13, verse 8. For nations shall rise against nations, and in Salakia, read that again. Mark 13:8. Salakia, slip of the tongue. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. And there shall be earthquakes in diverse places, and there shall be famines and troubles. These are the beginning of sorrows, right? Because these are the increasing beginning stages of sorrows of these nations increasingly going against one another, showing their nuclear capability, showing their nuclear strength towards against one another, their allies, showing more allegiance from an economic scale, a war type ally scale as well too, against their adversaries, So that's why you've been seeing all these nations gathering up for war, all these military trainings, all these military base joint naval exercise trainings been increasing now more than ever for the past 2 years. Now it is increasing at a higher rate, because this Revelations 11:14 is definitely coming to pass, and that Joel 3:2, in the battle of Jehoshaphat, in the valley of decision, Yahweh's decision in the Middle East. There's great judgment in the Middle East, and that's what we're seeing increasingly. That's why I brought out that first article, because you've been seeing an ongoing increase of proxy wars, commotions of wars, nations rising against nations throughout the Middle East, especially with the current conflict that's going on right now at this moment between the Palestinians and the Israelis, and then you got ongoing conflicts in Syria, throughout the region of Syria, Iraq, Afghanistan, and all different parts of in the Middle East. You have continuing ongoing wars and commotions of wars and proxy wars, rumors of wars, nations rise against nations, and these type of wars, and economic wars, and regular wars as well too. Wars between the nations fighting over territory, two different groups, two different nations, all these are increasing, This is the book of Luke, 21:9. This is the book of Luke, chapter 21, verse 9. But when ye shall hear of wars and commotions, be not terrified, for these things must first come to pass, but the end is not yet by and by. Right, because we're seeing these things starting to increase slowly but surely. but not at a extremely fast, rapid rate. But we starting to see the increases starting to build up more and more and more. Even though we so used and accustomed of hearing these things, but it's starting to build up at a more increasing level, like we never seen before. So, hey, these nations are rising up against one another because that warlike rhetoric towards one another is increasing and is building up. As I brung out, as I mentioned the reference of the scriptures of Joel 3:9, prepare, wake up the mighty man. And I was reading through that whole news article about Kim Jong-un is navigating and testing his cruise missiles. And it was stating through the news article, he was saying this is a demonstration of him being fully readiness and preparing for war. Just in case, he comes under enemy threat from the United States, South Korea, and Japan, and other allies as well too, which is the UN as well too. So, hey, Kim Jong-un is in that readiness, that warlike readiness, even though he haven't been hitting missiles directly towards his adversaries, but he's in that ready like war preparedness, just like many other nations as well too. And dropping down to verse 10, Joel 3:10, let the weak say I am strong. That's why you're seeing the military strength and capability and the mindset of Kim Jong-un that he's currently in right now. He's in that ready war, like Reddy said, he's ready for whatever. Even if the United States comes his way, South Korea, cross-boarding neighbor, even though they're allies with one another as well too, they've been increasing from an economic sense, a warlike sense as well too, and Japan as well too, So, hey, these nations are definitely increasingly against one another, and it's starting to increase more and more and more from a regular war standpoint and an economic war standpoint, as well too. So yeah, these commotions of wars, rumors of wars, nations rising up against nations, kingdom against kingdoms, the script of nations, which is recorded in book of Luke 21 and 25. Starting to see that, the script of nations, the upwards in the people of the world, upwards of people going against one another, going against their people that's in leadership, uprising against them. So many different things that's taking place on this planet Earth, and according to the scriptures and according to Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua. So these things are, definitely going to increase slowly but surely, So with that, this was a sit-down lesson that I wanted to bring out along those two articles that I brought out. With the first article that I brought out, with 13 people had got killed during a two-day span of rebel clashes in Syria, the northern region, and the south region as well too. So those tensions between the two different nations of rebels clashing it out with one another. So you got that proxy war, that ongoing on and off clashes and wars between the nations of different kingdoms, That's increasing. And then I brought out the second article mentioning of North Korea. They're showing his nuclear capability, showing his war readiness once he comes under enemy threat from South Korea, Japan, and the United States, and other allies as well too, as I mentioned. Because best believe North Korea, they got allies as well too. So yeah, these tensions are definitely stirring up, between the nations of different kingdoms as well too. As I brought out Mark 13:8, So with that, I hope this sit-down lesson was edifying through the spirit, power, grace, and mercy of Yahweh Yahushua. And first and foremost, I like to give all praises and glory and honor to Yahweh, Ba'Shem, Yahushua, Ba'Shem, Wakar Kadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone, preaching his word truthfully and sincerely. And shalom to the Akim, scattered through the four corners of the globe, preaching the word truthfully and sincerely. And shalom to the Akim, that be like unto the speckled bird, preaching the word truthfully and sincerely. And until next time, I will say shalom and a ball.